Have you ever sat up at night trying to figure out how much house that you could actually afford today? We all know that today is a crazy market, but I'm gonna help you figure out how much house you can actually afford based on how much salary you make. We're gonna go through several formulas and scenarios just to see and understand how much you can afford. So we're gonna split this up into 3 different scenarios. The first scenario is gonna be based on the average income in the United States. The second is gonna be the average income for the middle class, which happens to make up 51% of the United States. And finally, we're gonna talk about how much you need to make in order to afford the median home price of $420,000. Before we get into that, there are a few things that we need to talk about so you can understand what goes into this formula. There's things like housing expenses, the mortgage, repairs, all these things we need to talk about really quick. So the first thing is what I just mentioned in your mortgage. With your mortgage, there's 4 main components: your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. The next thing you need to know is the actual repairs and maintenance that needs to go into your house. This is definitely something you want to set aside every single month because I promise things will break around your house and you're gonna have to do repairs, things like landscaping, lawn care. Usually about 1 to 2% of the overall value of the home is a general good rule of thumb. So if you have a house that's worth $300,000, anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 per year, you should set that aside for repairs. Now we need to talk about 2 different rules that are very commonly used in when trying to figure out how much can I actually afford. The first rule is known as the 28% rule. This is a very simple rule and it basically says that based on how much gross income you have every single month, you want to take 28% of that and that is what you can actually afford for your mortgage payments. So for example, if you make $4,000 per month in gross income, your monthly mortgage payment can be right around $1,120. Now another more common formula, and the one we're really going to focus here today, is the 30-33 rule. This one is far more commonly used and a lot more financial advisors will actually tell you to try to use this. The first 30 is 30%. This means that 30% of your gross income can go towards your mortgage payment. The next 30 is 30% in cash of the home purchase. So what this means is that whatever home you buy, take that and multiply it times 30% to get a number of how much money in cash you need saved up. 20% of that is going to be your down payment, and the other 10% they say to save in cash for a rainy day, for if things happen in life. The final number of that is the 3, or it's 3x. This just means that you should not buy a house more than 3 times the amount of your annual salary. So for example, if you make $60,000 per year, you should not buy a house more than $180,000. And to be honest, good luck finding a house for that price these days. So let's move into the first scenario and we're gonna use that 30-33 rule, see if that's viable. And for these examples, we're going to use 7% as the interest rate because currently that is the average interest rate most people are paying. So the first scenario is by average income in the United States, which is $59,000 per year. Or if you break that down per month, that's $4,900 per month. So if we use that 30-33 rule, your mortgage payment cannot be more than $1,470 per month. So how much house can that actually get you? Well, if you plug numbers into Bankrate, you get around a $235,000 house. So with this rule, 30% of that needs to be saved up in cash, 20% for the down payment, and 10% for just cash. That would be a $47,000 down payment and $23,000 saved up in just hard cash. Now, this is where I think it's going to be pretty unrealistic for most people who are making $60,000 a year to save up this kind of cash. It might take them years, especially with inflation and the high cost of living, to actually do this. And the 3x rule is also pretty unrealistic here because, as I mentioned, for $60,000 per year, you can only afford a $180,000 house, but that is not an easy house to find. So let's move to the second scenario and let's see how it goes here. The median income right now for the middle class sits right around $103,000, which gives you a lot more room for house buying. So if we use the same formula and the average income per month for this person is right around $8,500, this is what the mortgage looks like. They can afford around a $2,575 mortgage payment, which lo and behold is actually enough for the median home price, but here's the catch. I don't think that that's still realistic for most people because you're now required to save up $126,000 in cash, which again is way more than that person makes in a year. And based on inflation, it might take them years to save up that kind of money. So in this third scenario of what you need to actually make to afford the median home price, I'm going to give you what I feel is the more realistic approach to affording the median home price. And what a shocker, most people aren't going to be able to buy this. But fear not, there is a potential way for you to afford your dream home. So right now, the average down payment in America is 14%, but no one's really gonna put 14% down. They're more than likely gonna put 10% down. Now, this will add some PMI, or what's known as private mortgage insurance, which will bump up this payment, but let's leave that out for now. So if we plug in the numbers to Bankrate, you will see that a $420,000 house with 10% down, 7% interest rate is going to cost you right around $2,800 per month. And with this number, based on the calculations, you need to make about $9,500 per month, or about $114,000 per year. And if you take into consideration about 1% of that home's value going towards repairs, and you add that to your down payment, you're looking to save right over $46,000, which is far better than that $126,000 we were talking earlier. So what are my thoughts on all of this, and is it possible to actually buy a house today? So yes, housing has become very expensive. Inflation is high. The cost of living is high. Just everything for the average American consumer just seems to be really, really tough right now. And it does not help that interest rates are on the higher side, especially when we were used to 2 and 3% not too long ago. But I am here to tell you that all is not lost, and you can buy your dream home like I said earlier. All you have to do is click on this video right here, and I'll break down how you can buy your dream house.